Welcome, welcome everyone for another week of learning relationship skills, a place where we can empower everyone to be relationship experts. And yeah, welcome to today's session. Quick intro about me. I specialize in relationships and have a master's in clinical behavioral psychology. I'm happily married myself for 4 years, and I'm trying to impart as much um, valuable skills in relationships as I can to you guys. Like and retweet the space so we can get more people learning these things so we can have a bigger impact. And at any point at all, if you have any questions or have any comments or want to share a story or just get some insight, feel free to put your hand up or just request to speak or just unmute your mic and start speaking. It's always welcome. It's always encouraged. That's what we're here for. We get so much more out of it when we have specific situations to be able to kind of practice our skills with and point people in the right direction. So, as we do at the beginning of sessions, we usually have a quick recap of the skills that we've learned in the last 11 Twitter spaces because even I need a reminder, my husband needs a reminder. Because these skills come to practice every single day, sometimes in different ways, and different skills will pop up at different times that we need to use. All right, so first we learned about love languages. So the main takeaway from that is learning that our partner is different to us in how they feel loved. Usually we give love the way we want to receive love, and we get very upset when it's not returned the same way. So no two people are identical, and we really have to learn how the other person appreciates love and provide it that way. Sometimes it's really easy and sometimes it's hard. In the love languages book, there's 5 main love languages, and they've simplified it quite a lot. It's definitely much more complicated than that because we appreciate all sorts of different things, but it's a good place to start. So, the 5 love languages are quality time, physical touch, acts of service, gifts, and words of affirmation. So, we value these things in different amounts and at different times, different amounts. So it's good to know what you value. For example, what acts of service is the lowest important one to me usually. And for my husband, it's the most important one for him. So sometimes doing the simplest thing, like bringing him a glass of water, can mean so much to him. And doing his dishes, if it's his turn to do them, means so much to him. But if he does that for me, it doesn't mean much. And I love, for example, watching movies. If he suggested watching a movie with me, I would be so happy, and that would be so easy for him to do. So definitely figuring out what our loved ones' love languages are. And this extends to all our relationships that we care about. It's not just our romantic partners. This works with our mums, dads, siblings, friends, people you love. All right, so the next skill we learned was bottling is bad and being honest. So, whenever you notice you're frustrated about something or annoyed about something, no matter how silly you think it is, it's good to just be honest and tell the person that has upset you or annoyed you or frustrated you in some way. Because if you don't, it'll pile up and then it has ugly ways of getting out. And then it's a much bigger problem for us to address if it gets to that point. And, we all do it to different extents, but it's important to notice it as quickly as we can and just honestly get it out as quick as we can so we don't bottling it in anymore. And then the next skill is finessing that previous skill. So, how to have a soft startup where you're expressing that you're frustrated or annoyed, but to do it in a way where you have better odds of it going well. So, there's a lot to do in that, and that really can be unpacked more when we get to know the couples better. But general rules are kind of don't start off yelling, even though sometimes like you might just be so frustrated, you might start yelling or your tone might be really harsh. It's a good to find a good time that's appropriate to talk about it, not when someone's in the middle of getting out the door or about to start eating if they're really hungry. And then starting with I feel, and then whatever emotion you're feeling, and then knowing what you want that will make the situation better, because that really helps fix the problem in a lot of ways because it's not up to them to figure it out. You've given them the pathway to make this situation better. And then the other thing is to be direct when we ask for what we want. It's very easy to indirectly say things, and um, that's kind of how culturally we've grown up to indirectly say things, and we notice it the more and more we become aware of it. I still do this a whole bunch of times, and my husband catches me when I do it, and he's like, "Are you serious?" And I have to really, like, think about, "Oh, I did it myself, and I need to correct it and ask directly." So an example of speaking directly is, well, speaking indirectly first. The textbook example of this one, which I like to use, is if I am upset that the, laundry hasn't been done, and I say, "The laundry pile is high," that's me being indirect. If I was to be direct, I would say, "Can you please do the laundry by the end of the day? It's upsetting me seeing it piled high." And if you noticed, I asked in a form of a question because now I give the opportunity to the other person to be able to respond and say yes or no, or yes, but I can do it at this time because I've got this big thing coming up, for example. So when I say things indirectly, it is really unhealthy because it doesn't give the other person a chance to respond. And they feel bad about it, and I'm not having my problem solved because, if I said the laundry pile is high, my partner might think, "Oh, I'll just do it tomorrow and she'll be happy." But I'm, like, so mad today because it's not done today, for example. So be direct when you, want something when you're upset. Nurture vulnerability. So if someone is, talking about something that's really important to them, that's hard for them to talk about, it's emotional, definitely nurture that, especially even more for men if, well, in this society, it's not really encouraged for men to open up emotionally. Women too, but just be extra careful. Sometimes it's easy to laugh or kind of deflect it or, all sorts of responses, but just nurture the vulnerability, notice it when it happens because it's really helpful for them to open up again. If they're kind of not treated well when they were vulnerable, that rare moment they were vulnerable, they're going to clam up and be even more less likely to talk to you about anything important because they weren't nurtured during it. So catch it when it's being vulnerable and nurture it. The other one is practicing validation. So when someone does open up to you or says something important to them, you know, sometimes we might freeze up and not know what to say. And one of the my go-to words, which I love because I can use it in so many different contexts, is "I hear you." You don't have to think too much about it. You can usually say it very quickly after someone has said something important, or even, they're upset about something. You can say, "I hear you," and it's a validating thing to hear. You don't have to agree with them, um, but it's a start of a nice conversation to follow when you say, "I hear you," and then you can agree with them or you can say, how you disagree with them. But the first thing is, I hear you. Armand, I see your hand up. Go for it.
Yeah, so this is something that uh, I really like. This I hear you. Um, One thing that triggers the heck out of me sometimes is like, I hear you, but, and it's like, nope, nope, you didn't understand what I said. Uh, Something that can go along with that is, I hear you, and then you summarize what they said. That summarization is, I think, helpful because when someone says, I hear you, but, I'm like, you know, you may be saying that you hear me, but I don't feel that you hear me. You're just waiting to speak. Um, yeah.
Yeah, such a great point. Thank you. Absolutely. Summarizing what they said really makes them feel like you've understood what they're saying. Um, I know, like this is just a loophole trick, but instead of saying but, you can always use and. That's something you can use, but that's not getting to the heart of what Armand's saying. He is wanting to communicate to make sure that your partner feels that you understand them, and that helps when you summarize it back to them. And if you feel differently, you can say how you feel, but at least they feel like, yes, you can recite what I am trying to say. So it must be sinking in to some extent. So I hear you, followed by a summary, is very helpful. Thank you for that really good addition. And then attuning. So this is something psychologists use a lot to see if relationships, how the quality of the relationships and how likely they are to last in the future or get a divorce. And this stuff shows in all the little moments in life. So it could be something as simple as, the husband looking out of the window and seeing a boat and saying, "Ah, that boat." Um, something as simple as that. And, does the wife choose to look up and respond, or just stay on her phone and completely ignore um, the kind of he's kind of making a plea of connection, even though it's so tiny and so insignificant, but it's still a plea for connection because he said it out loud and he knows she's in the room. So maybe she looks up, looks at the boat, and says, "Oh, yeah, that's the same boat from last summer that our friends had." And then, like, he grunts in agreement. Something as simple as that shows really good attuning that they're really turning towards each other in the relationship. And a lot of those moments really build up the emotional bank account, which can be used when things go wrong, because so many little things have been, working so smoothly that when something goes wrong, it's much easier to be able to take that on and be able to work with that and resolve it. The next thing is avoiding toxicity. So, noticing when something is toxic and learning how to navigate how to make sure it's not happening again. One of the things that's an easy thing to pick up if something is toxic is when someone's words don't match their actions. And in psychology, this term is called cognitive dissonance, and it's specifically when someone's beliefs don't match their actions. It can, manifest in a lot of different ways. But it's really important for those things to match. So, we can believe our partner when they say something, and that trust is built and it's strong. And in return, the person who is saying they're going to do something can feel more confident that they can do it. So, in some situations, that might mean committing to less things or committing to a smaller amount of things that they know they can commit to. So then their words can match their actions more. And also assessing their beliefs to make sure, do they actually want to do these actions? Do they match their beliefs? Are they living the life they want to live? That sort of thing. And then the last topic that we covered last week was a trick to resolve arguments, and that was who got upset first. So that's a good way to figure out um, where to start, because if two people are upset, it's very likely you're not going to get anywhere to resolving it because you're both quite amped up and you're both upset about something and it doesn't really go anywhere. And it's a terrible experience and you have a lot of negative interactions. So, one way to avoid this is who vocalized that they were upset first. And sometimes it's hazy because one person will say they're upset and the other one will say, "I'm also upset about this." But if you can really peel the layers back and find out who was the one that got upset first, and then be there for them, resolve their thing first, and then address your problem. Because when one person's upset, the other person is more level headed and can fix the problem rather than two people upset. They did a really good study on this to show that as soon as your heart rate goes above 100, or if you're really fit above 80, you have less than a 10% chance of resolving the conflict because you're just too amped up and you're getting defensive, and these are all really natural human responses. So this has nothing to do with if you're right or wrong. This is just because your body is riled up, and so is theirs. So you're not going to get very far in trying to resolve this conflict. So if you notice your heart rate is up, just take a 20-minute break, let them know you're coming back, distract yourself, and then come back, and your odds are so much higher for resolving the situation, purely just because you're in a better mindset and your physical body is more ready to be able to take on something like that. All right, so now let's go into today's topic. And before we do, anyone have any questions about anything that they want to bring up or anything they want to say? This is a great time to ask questions. All right, let's jump into our Reddit questions for the week. Oh, Armand, I see your hand up.
Yeah, it's something I wanted to add about the heart rate thing. Um, I think in the book that you suggested, the Gottman book, it says that, and I think what he says is like whenever you take this break, you can't be like taking the break and also be thinking about the issue. You have to like go do something completely different. You have to not think about it for 20 minutes because if you're still thinking about it at all, your anger or whatever, your frustration is not draining away. So it's not like, oh, like go do something else for 20 minutes. It's like a panacea. It may take you longer to stop thinking about it. Um, so I just wanted to throw that out there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Such a good point. Yes, make sure you are distracting yourself because the goal is to lower your heart rate, and it's very likely that if you're still thinking about the things that are upsetting you during that 20 minutes, your heart rate is not going down. So yes, please listen to Armand's advice on that. It's really good. So today's topic is on passive aggression, and this is something that we experience and we see it, and sometimes we're not sure if it is passive aggression. Sometimes it comes across in jokes. Sometimes it's a bit of a mean comment. Sometimes it's an indirect thing about something and you're like, oh, that didn't feel too good. So it has a lot of different forms. And I wonder if anyone, I know we went through a lot of skills already, but which one, which skill do you think most relates to passive aggression? Does anyone want to take a guess at what skill relates to passive aggression? Okay. Okay.
It's probably being direct, right?
Yes, yes. Great listening skills. Amazing. So, passive aggression is another word for being indirect, and usually comes out a bit of a mean version of being indirect. And usually, being indirect is usually mean anyway. So, yes, passive aggression is a form of being indirect. And how we address it is okay, so I'm going to give you a real life example of something that happened this week in my own life that was a really perfect example of this. So, this is a real life example. So, my mum, for my Mother's Day or her birthdays, she always asks us to send her gifts. So, not gifts with a T, GIFS, like the like short video emoji things that you send over Messenger. She's like, just send me some of those and I'll be super happy. So we we know this. So it was Mother's Day like in the last week. And it was actually on a Saturday, and that's when I called my family for a few hours. And so that was going to happen. And my time, because I live in the US right now in Michigan, in Ann Arbor, and they live in Melbourne, Australia. So when I call, it's about 8 p.m. their time. And so I was going to send my gifts like right before I got on that family call. And then I get a message on my family group chat from my mom saying "Happy Mother's Day to me!" exclamation mark, smiley faces, flowers. And that is very indirect, and, she's definitely communicating she's very upset, but she's not saying what she wants, and it feels terrible that she's wishing herself a happy Mother's Day on the family call, and we all know we've messed up, and, so how do we address something like this? So, my mom is saying, "A happy Mother's Day to me, smiley face flowers." None of us have sent her gifts yet. It's almost around 8 p.m. And so, obviously I started sending gifts immediately after. I didn't feel too good because I'm like, oh, it's like she had to remind me, but I was going to do it anyway. And then my brothers started sending them. And my mom, sends thank you messages and she loves them. And we got on the Zoom call and things like that. Everything's fine. But I asked my mom, I'm like, when do you appreciate getting the gifts? We know that, she's being direct enough to ask what she wants, but she wasn't direct enough to ask when she wants them. So we were like, when do you expect these gifts? Because we were gonna send them today, but it doesn't look like we did it in time. And we found out that she expects the gifts the day before. Mother's Day or the day before her birthday because she wakes up really early in the morning and she wants to kind of start the day with those gifts. And so we've been messing up for all these years not knowing, and we honestly needed to do it one day sooner. So if we didn't ask, we would have no idea. So that's a very real life example of, passive aggression and not communicating directly what you want. So we found out that's what she wants. So then, we're hopefully able to apply it for her birthday, which is in September, and just remember this rule. And I just made sure my brothers also remembered that, like, this is what we got to get right to make her feel loved. And this is like for her love language of how she feels loved has to be gifts, and it has to be the day before, which is very easy things to do. It doesn't cost money, but you do have to get it right. It's time sensitive. All right, I see Armand's requesting to speak. I'll just undo that. Perfect. Armand, if you want to speak, just feel free to unmute yourself.
Yeah, and I
And
guess
so this,
something I wanted to
yeah.
add with your mom's situation. It's like, imagine if she told you guys this 10 years ago. Like, how much different would life be? You know? Yes, like you realize you've been screwing up, but if, she had been direct, the course of life or maybe your relationship would be entirely different. Um,
Yeah, yeah, no joke, no joke. And it's not that we don't love her. Like, we would literally do this, but we just didn't know that this was so important. So we have to show with our actions that we do care about her. Now that we know that we'll get it right in the future. Yes, so it makes it being direct makes a ton of difference, and even if you think you're being super direct, a lot of the times you're not being direct enough. So she said what she wanted, but she didn't say the time of when she wanted it. And it's okay to have preferences for when you want things. There's nothing wrong with that, but you do have to communicate it so you get it. And the reason I wanted to give this example with my mom in the last week was just to show how all of these skills that we're learning for relationships apply to all relationships. And the more you practice these skills, you'll see the overlap. So this applies to my husband, this applies to my mom, my brothers, my friends, people I care about. So it's really important to just be direct all around because it helps in so many different ways. And you can be aware when other people aren't being direct so you can catch it out. So, passive aggression, whenever you see it, experience it, we've got 3 steps to kind of figure it out. So, step 1 is noticing passive aggression and calling it out. Step 2 is finding out directly what they want and do it. Like, what is the direct message in their passive aggression that they want? And step 3, ask them to speak directly in the future. So, recap: step 1, notice and call it out. Step 2, find out directly what they want and do it. Step 3, ask them to speak directly in the future. Any questions, any comments, any stories anyone has that they want to share about anything to do with passive aggression? Okay. Okay. We can jump into Reddit questions, which is real life people's questions in the last week. And we're going to go through scenarios, and then I'm going to ask you guys what's passive ways of expressing what they're upset about and then how to do it the right way. So the first story we have here is the title is Grown Up Birthday Expectations. So it's a 44-year-old male and a 41-year-old female. And the story goes, I feel a bit disappointed in my spouse's level of effort. Birthday fell on a weekday, so we both had work. We were going to a picnic to my favorite spot of mine, but when the weather was decent, it rained. So my spouse asked where I'd like to go for dinner instead. Afterwards, spouse asked if I'd like to pick up dessert from somewhere, so we stopped by a supermarket on the way home and picked up individual cake slices, sang happy birthday to me, and gave me a nice card. Overall, it was a decent day, so I understand this squarely falls into first world problems category. I think I feel a little disappointed because there was no planning or effort really put in, no reservations made, nothing was prepared for the picnic plans if they did work out, no cake bought in advance, no present either. For reference, I did all of these things for their birthday. Am I just being too sensitive as a grown adult to feel this way? If you had a friend that came to you saying that, how would you answer that last question? Am I being too sensitive as a grown adult to feel this way? Mazda, I'm going to ask you, what do you think?
What was the question again?
Absolutely. Yeah, so I love how you pointed out. Oh, I'm really echoey. So I like how you pointed out their love languages might be different here. So yes, maybe this is what the girl expects, and this is like a perfectly fine birthday for her if he did the same way. But he always goes all out for her and does all these things. So he gives love the way he wants to receive it. And that's usually what we do. We give other people love the way we want to be loved. So he's definitely doing that. And maybe he needs to learn that, you know, she doesn't need all that. That's not really how she feels loved. Maybe she feels loved in a different way and he doesn't even know. But for him to feel loved, all the things that he kind of wants that he does for his partner is what he wants to receive in return. So Mazda, my question to you is, do you think he's being too sensitive for feeling this way? Yes or no?
No.
Nice. Nice.
Let's go, dude.
Yep, exactly, exactly. It's okay to feel whatever you want to feel that will help you feel loved. Like, don't feel ashamed of what makes you feel loved. If you want someone to have, thought about your birthday and, got a cake ready, like made some sort of plans, any of these things are perfectly fine to want from your partner, and it's okay to ask for them. Just go about doing it directly. So let's practice doing this indirectly. So let's say it's our birthday and we were meant to go to a picnic, but nothing was planned for a picnic, no food was ready, and it's raining. So we ended up getting dinner somewhere else, and we went to a supermarket to get cake slices, and you got a card. So, what's a way to be passive aggressive about feeling disappointed about how your birthday went? Who wants to give an example of feeling passive aggressive? Doing is like saying something that's passive aggressive, or kind of expressing it maybe with noises. There's all sorts of ways people can do it. Does anyone want to take a guess at how someone would be passive aggressive if they're upset in this situation? Go for it, Mazda.
Dude, even just silence. Like maybe they feel like they're not treated well, so they like close off or like not
Mm-hmm.
communicate back, and like yeah, dude, it's like maybe hard to get to that person, and that's the rebellion. Maybe, yeah, just silence or like closing off.
Yeah, great sign, great sign. I want to see if Jim here has the ability to speak up. I know you're a bit of an expert on passive aggression. I'm not sure if he's brave enough to step up here, but he's always welcome to if he wants to. All right, let's see if Armand's got a way of being passive aggressive about his birthday not going to plan.
I could be like, thanks for my birthday. It was good. All right, I'm saying like, thanks for my birthday. It was good. It was good. You know, uh, our son's birthday is coming up. What do you think we should do for his birthday? Are there any plans that maybe should we plan for it? Should we maybe just you know wing it, kind of like we winged my birthday?
Yes.
What do you think?
Yes, that last bit especially. Should we wing it like we winged my birthday? Um, that is a good example of passive aggression. And the other ones were a little subtle, he was, planning your future kid's birthday. Maybe the other person will not even pick that up as passive aggression. Maybe they're like, "Oh, I didn't even want to think about that right now." But it was the partner being passive aggressive. So yes, there's all sorts of ways to do it. That was a great example at the end. Um, and now, if we were going to do it the right way, so if we were going to apply our 3 steps, let's just recap what the 3 steps were. So noticing the passive aggression is happening and calling it out, finding out directly what they want and doing it, and asking them to speak directly in the future. All right. So if I was to do this, so let's say I am was it a wife? Doesn't matter. I was the female in this situation and I didn't plan the right birthday for my partner. Okay, so he just said this thing where, do you want to wing our child's birthday like we did mine? Let's say he did that. He said that. And then I say, okay, I think you're being passive aggressive. Or I think you're being indirect. Obviously, indirect is a less attacking way to bring it up. Be like, okay, I think you're being indirect about something that you're feeling. So we're calling it out. And then we say, what is it directly that you want? You seem upset about winging it on your birthday. What is it directly that you want? Armand, do you want to tell me directly what it is that you want?
I mean, I don't think it would be that easy.
Well, he said it in his.
Well, okay. I mean, you could say no. Like, I think he would know, but I don't know if he would feel comfortable saying it. Like, you may have to
Yeah.
go through like, uh, what's it today's? What did you say? You said,
You're being. I noticed you're being indirect, and you seem upset about your birthday when you said this comment about winging it like you did mine. What is it directly that you want?
what is it directly that I want? I just want to feel loved.
Okay. And how is it that you feel loved? Did you not feel loved today?
I felt very sad.
Oh no. You're meant to feel happy on your birthday. I'm sorry. It looks like I haven't done a good job to help out with that today on your birthday. What is it that will be? Keep reiterating. What is it specifically?
It's all your fault. You ruined my birthday.
Okay. Okay. What is it that I did wrong? What is it that I could get right in the future? Please give me specifics so I can do better.
You can make me a dinner reservation
Okay.
for two.
For two.
I would like it to be at a fancy restaurant where we both dress up nice.
Okay.
I would like to afterwards have a cake that you've planned and you've written my name on, that you're getting from somewhere.
Okay. That's fair.
And I would like a present that's at least $25.
That's at least $25. Okay, I really appreciate the specificity. I realized that none of these things were done for your birthday today, which sucks. I can see why you're upset. I'll do my best to do it better next year. And step 3, can you please let me know directly in the future when you're upset about something instead of saying in passing, wing it like my birthday?
I will if you don't wing it.
Okay, that's fair. I'll try not to. I'll do what I'm saying I'm gonna do, and I'll do better on your birthday to make you feel loved. All right, so that's just a quick example of putting something like that in practice. Okay, let's do next question. Before we move on, does anyone have any questions about anything or want to share any comments? This is your floor to speak up. Mazda, go for it.
Yeah, I've got a thing. I think I had a friend, and I think they were feeling sick,
Mm.
and they didn't feel like doing much, and they feel tired, and like sometimes I always feel myself going into like help them and like give suggestions, and then I remember listening to a podcast by Simon Sinek, and he was like, "Dude, you just gotta sit in the mud with them. Don't offer any solutions. Purely just like let them express their feelings and just say like, dude, that sucks, and then just let like you gotta, I don't know, sit in that motion." And he says like, you just gotta sit in the mud with them. And I'm just trying to, what do you think about that, and what approach do you think is most beneficial, or maybe how should you go about the situation?
Yeah. A lot of us go straight into fix it mode because we want to help them stop feeling like that. Absolutely. It's one of the defaults most of us have. And yeah, you're right. Most of the time, um, someone wants you to just feel where they are and understand that they're not doing well and how it feels to not do well. And you can always ask them, do you appreciate, you know, if we wanted to solve this and I came up with like some solutions to help, or do you appreciate just being heard and me like being there with you through this? And some people will tell you that, they want a solution because they want to stop feeling like this. Or some people will be like, no, I really appreciate you just being here with me and, just feeling like I'm not alone. So definitely the default is to be where they're at, and it's always good to check in to make sure that that's actually what they want, to make sure you're kind of delivering the love that you want, that they want, sorry, not what you want. Mazda, go for it.
Dude, ultimate Chad move if they're feeling sick. You just like burst their door open, slide a flu bomb over, and then you just go, just do it, do it.
Yeah, I know. See, that's something you would feel loved for, and that would be amazing for you. So people that love you should listen to that and do that for you when you get sick, for sure, for sure. But just make sure other people want that too. All right, amazing.
And imagine him doing that for someone else and be like, "Oh my god, I did the most amazing thing ever," and they're like, "You suck."
Yeah. Yeah, we usually give people love the way we want it. So, and then we get surprised when people don't feel as happy as we would if we received it. Absolutely. All right, let's go to the next question. So, my girlfriend has me paying for half of her office space. All right, let's unpack this one. It's a 25-year-old female and a 26-year-old female, so both females. My girlfriend and I moved in together in January of 2021, so they've been together for about 2-3 years. When we were apartment hunting, I was very adamant about wanting a one bedroom that she runs a small, wanting a one bedroom, but she runs a small business and insisted she needed a second bedroom for her office space. I said I said she would need to pay the difference for the extra room, but she stated that is not what a good partner does. That's not a real partnership, etc. I conceded at that point. Summary, the girlfriend who has the office space is making about $10,000 a month sometimes. She's doing pretty well in her job. And for the other girl's salary, she's really living paycheck to paycheck with no savings, while the person with the business has $30,000 in savings. And and all the things in that second room belong to the girl who's running the business. It's completely her space. And so he's paying, so sorry, the person who's paying the amount is paying $191 extra a month to cover half her office space, and is saying that it would go such a long way if she didn't have to pay this amount because she's so paycheck to paycheck. And so she's brought it up a few times, and the girl who owns the business has gotten really angry and upset and says that, she can't keep pushing it if she doesn't like her answer, and that it's not her fault that she's getting underpaid. So that's kind of something that's been happening for the last year with this relationship. And so, as you can imagine, this can be building up for a really long time and feeling like it's not going anywhere. They don't know how to resolve the problem. They have quite different stances on something like this. What's a passive aggressive way of expressing how upset she is with having to pay for half the office space? Does anyone want to take a guess at what a passive aggressive comment could look like? All right. So I will. Oh, Mazda, I see your hand up. Go for it.
Micah, you're a brokeback Carter.
Okay. So is this the person with the business, or is this the person who has to pay half the office space?
I think this would be the business person to the other person. Maybe they're not
Yeah.
addressing the issue, and I might just be like, "You're not good with money," or like,
Yeah.
be avoidant.
Yeah. You're not good with money. That could be one. Um, And what about the person that's paying for half the office space who's really low on money? What would a passive aggressive comment from them sound like?
It might be like you're spoiled, or like you need a lot. But
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I Another one could be um, you know, hope you're enjoying that room or something like that. That's a passive comment. You know, Yeah, yeah, anything to do with that room seems to be very negatively associated to both people. So any comments about that room is very likely to be passive aggressive unless they're talking about it properly. So if we were going to approach this the right way, if you know, if I'm the person that is living paycheck to paycheck and I'm paying for half of this office space, and I say, hope you enjoy that room. Or like you like that room more than you like me, something like that. Um, and now I'm switching over to being the person who has the business. So from their standpoint, um, I would call it out. I would be like, hey, that comment you made about me enjoying that room, it seems like you were upset. It seems like you're very upset about it still. And, it sounded like a indirect, you know, kind of comment, kind of passive aggressive. It seems like I need to understand what this is directly relating to. What do you want from me? And it's likely they're going to say, the whole thing again, but the crux of what they need to communicate is, hey, look, I am paying $191 for half of this office space. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. You've got $30,000 in savings. I just feel like I need to be able to save something to be able to feel more stable in this relationship. And what I really need is, can we at the very least have me, please, bring the 191 down to $100. This would mean so much to me to feel like I can at least save a tiny little bit, because I'm just not getting paid that much in comparison. I'm really struggling to just make ends meet on my end, and it would make me feel really loved. So I really would like it to be reduced from $191 to $100, or be specific with whatever it is, and to ask them not to speak indirectly in the future if they're upset about something, to address it directly. So this is a tough conversation to have, and it requires a lot of kind of well handled ways of being able to navigate something like this. So if this has not gone well a lot of times while bringing it up, this is something that, would help if, um, you know, they just, they used some sort of expertise to be able to navigate a conversation like this. If they are getting very explosive or shutting it down immediately, or not talking to each other for 3 days, or saying you can never bring up this issue again, those are not good ways of handling it. So really, there's a lot of skills to handling this properly if they're just bumping heads on this topic. So yeah, we don't have time to cover all of those things right now, but if anyone has an issue like this, where it's they're just bumping heads on some topics, and they're not, they're just repeating the same arguments, that's something I can help with more one-on-one, and we can slowly learn more skills on how to deal with those things in the future. So that's kind of how you would handle that one. All right, so it's getting close to 9 o'clock. Has anyone have any questions or comments or stories or anything they want to share before we do one last one? All right, we'll go to the next one. All right, so let's see. All right, so let's do 23-year-old male and 24-year-old female. Boyfriend is insecure, jealous about my successes. So we've been together about 8 months, and the relationship has been amazing. He's everything I want in a partner: compassionate, loyal, caring, accepting, and we share hobbies. But there's one thing I can't seem to help with. My successes always turns into a discussion about him being insecure. We've had many conversations about it. I've reassured him that we are a team and he is my equal, regardless of my job or successes. Just two different people doing different things. He stated he doesn't feel like I brag or am condescending at all. I try not to talk about wins I make because he feels this way. He said he feels like it's a problem with himself. He's always been generally insecure, and seeing me makes public strides adds to it. It's really starting to wear at me. I have a college degree, he's working on his. I work a full-time job and am self-supported and make significantly more than he does. Though I don't talk about it because it's not a focal point of our relationship. I don't care about money or wins. I love him and want him in my life. That's all that really matters. Recently, I've made some strides of success, opening my own business, getting some social media notary, um, and have won some awards. He supports it. I don't brag about my successes, but I wish he could cheer me on without it turning into a I am nothing, I can't do that, I am worthless. Because he is something, he can do these things and has in the past, and I remind him daily that he is worth it. He is inherently a competitive person. No matter how much reassurance I give, how many conversations we have, it doesn't help. If I win, I'm met with support, but then conversations about self hate, which I care a lot about. So I support him and help him through it. But I don't know what else I can do, and nothing helps other than hiding my successes. Any advice to remediate this? Was the question. Okay. So there's lots of ways to be passive aggressive if you're the man in this situation. You can say things like, Oh, another win. Oh, another win. That's great. Good for you. And a lot of that is in the tone of how I'm saying it, which is passive aggressive. Or, you can make so many remarks about that, or, you can make it self remarks. It sounds like, you can say, oh, well, you know, great for you. I can't do that. Or, oh, great for you. I can never be like that. That's still passive aggression. It's being indirect about what he wants. So, at no point, if you notice, at no point in this story has he said what he needs from her. So, this has gone on for 8 months now. And whenever the reality of their situation right now is that she is earning more, but that's not something that matters to her. But it seems to matter to him. And the only thing that she's come up with that she thinks will help the situation is not talking about her successes at all. And if she does that, she's not going to feel supported by him, and the relationship is going to break down. They need to be able to find a way to navigate this. And a great starting point is to be able to find out what it is directly that he wants, that will make things better. And, if he seems to say, this is something I need to work on, um, and that is something and the thing that he needs to work on needs to be spelled out, because this can't continue this way. And it's not okay for this to keep continuing this way. It's not fair on her, going through this, because she's giving him every support she can. And, he's just not able to communicate or figure out what it is he wants to make it better. So you do need to take some time, figure out what it is that would help make the situation better, and then give that a go and go from there, and kind of treat it as an experiment. If what you thought would help you hasn't worked, you can always switch it to something else. But it's something that you do need to work on, and you can't throw it under the rug and assume everything's going to be okay, or I'll just stop telling him things. That's not the answer. The answer is figuring out these hard questions of what is it that the person actually wants, and needs, that's reasonable, that can be done, and to move forward. So it's really important to have these chats, and be able to figure out the crux of what's going on and calling it out. This is not okay to keep continuing. So it's something that needs to be addressed. All right, so that's a quick summary. I did have one more, but we're running out of time. I do have a meeting at 9 o'clock, so I think we're on time. Does anyone want to say anything else or make any comments at all? The floor is yours. All right. So yeah, Mazda, go for it.
Quick question. So I don't know. I've never been in a serious relationship, but what are some good tips? Like, what if it's like you have never been in a serious relationship, but you're thinking about it? What are some good things to maybe practice beforehand, or like be aware of, or to make the most of like new experiences? I don't know.
Yeah, great question. So, you have a blank slate right now, which is great. And you can really take advantage of this because you're not influenced by anyone that you're with right now. So, a great starting point for before you get into a relationship is to figure out the things that you want in a partner. So then when you see it, you can much more easily be able to, point it out and be like, ooh, this is something I really like, and then fight for it. And more easily be able to avoid like people that are not right for you. So the better you understand the things that you want and don't want, the much better your chances are. And once you figure out what you do want, you want to have as big of a sample size as possible of the sort of people that you like, and be able to quickly filter through them with the qualities that you do want, and to be able to go from there. So, for example, if in this last situation that we had, If they notice that they want someone who can be comfortable with their level of success and, not switch it and, make a self pity party sort of thing. And they know this is something that they can address either in one way by finding someone who's kind of on their same level, or addressing this quite early on and being like, hey, I realize I'm earning more money than you because I'm working full time and you're still in school, and there's an imbalance there. How do you feel about that? And if they say, no, that's really great, I'm really happy for you, um, you know, I just, I don't feel the best about myself because I'm not there yet, and things like that, then you can kind of get signs that they're not really comfortable with it. And then you can assess, hey, how many years is it going to be before they can get their own job? And then the job that they're getting, are they going to be earning the same amount of you, significantly less, more? Is that something that's going to make them feel comfortable? Again, this is assuming that this problem is so big that it's consumed these people's relationships like it has in this story. It's not the case for, all situations or anything like that. It's just an example. But another way you can practice these skills is to practice them with the people around you. So have the best relationships, with your family, your siblings, your friends, because as we addressed earlier in this session, a lot of the skills that we're learning apply to all of our relationships. So, figuring out how other people feel loved, communicating directly, having soft startups, not letting frustrations build up, all of these things can be applied. So, you'll actually have the best practice if you can practice these with other people. And then, if you know your preferences, you know what you're looking for, when you are searching and you find the right person, you're just so much ahead of everybody else because you've not only practiced these skills with the loved ones around you, where you have a high standard of great people, but now you can also find a really high quality person. So you're actually in a really great position to be able to set yourself up right. And it's a lifelong thing. If you find a great partner, the dividends are just going to keep paying for the rest of your life. It's so important to pick the right person. And you have the best shot right now by not having your judgment clouded by bad experiences or things like that.
I think one very specific thing is that you can practice being direct with extended family. Like, I feel like, with extended families, you're always kind of in that situation where, they do stuff that really bothers you, but you're like, oh, I'm not going to be seeing them for that much longer. Like, I don't really need to resolve it. I can just deal with it. You can just decide to be direct with them. And that's a skill you can practice. And if they don't, if they react well or medium or poorly, like, like, they're your extended family. Like, they're not going anywhere. You're not going to, like, screw that relationship up beyond repair, probably. They're family. They kind of gotta love you at least a little bit. So I don't know. That's one thing.
Yeah, definitely put it to practice. And yeah, keep asking great questions like that. And yeah, we're all here to support you, and we all want everyone in these spaces to have the best love lives. And that's what we're here for. So thank you for your question. Thanks everyone for being here. And we'll see you guys all next week.